pause for a moment. Before you do anything else, before you scroll, before you rush into another day that looks exactly like the last one, listen. Your life is not failing because you lack talent. It sits not failing because you sit are unlucky, and it sits not failing because you don't want it badly enough. Your life feels heavy because your days are unstructured. Most people live on autopilot. They wake up tired, react to noise, chase distractions, exhaust their energy, and then wonder why nothing changes. Days like that, done teeters, look dangerous. But stacked together, they quietly erase years. Here sits a truth. Most people never hear, you do not rise to the level of your dreams. You sink to the level of your daily habits. And right now, your habits are building something, whether you are aware of it or not. Every morning, your brain is being trained. Every evening, your identity is being reinforced. Every small choice is voting for the person you will become. This audiobook is not here to motivate you. Motivation fades. This is about rebuilding your life from the ground up, using simple, repeatable actions that work even when you feel tired, uncertain, or unmotivated. Because real change doesn't come from big moments. It comes from quiet discipline, practiced daily. Think about this. If nothing changes in the way you live your days, your weeks will look the same. Your months will blur together. And 1 year from now, you'll still be asking the same questions. That tests, not fear. That tests reality. But here sits the good news. You don't need to fix everything at once. You don't need a dramatic transformation. You don't need to become someone else. You only need to build yourself, one day at a time. The habits you're about to hear are not complicated. They don't yet require talent. They don't yet require luck. They require consistency. And consistency is available to anyone who decides to stop living accidentally. If you commit to these habits, even imperfectly, your focus will sharpen. Your energy will stabilize. Your confidence will grow quietly. And your life will start moving in a clear direction again. This is not about becoming busy. This is about becoming deliberate. So take a breath, slow down, because the next few minutes are not information. They are a blueprint. And if you follow it, your future self will thank you for starting today. Now let's begin. Habit 1. Start the day without consumption. Most people don't wake up and choose their life. They wake up and absorb it. The moment their eyes open, they reach for their phone, messages, notifications, news, other people's problems, other people's opinions, and without realizing it, their mind is hijacked before the day even begins. Here is what most people never understand. The first thoughts you consume in the morning shape the emotional direction of your entire day. When you start the day consuming, you train your brain to react instead of lead. You tell your nervous system that urgency controls you. You allow noise to decide your focus. That is not a small habit. That is identity training. Every morning, your mind is in its most suggestible state. It is quiet. It is open. It is forming the lens through which you will see the world for the next 12 to 16 hours. And most people fill that sacred window with chaos. Social media trains comparison. News trains fear. Messages train urgency. Endless content trains distraction. By the time the day starts, the mind is already tired. Starting the day without consumption is not about discipline. It is about self-respect. For the first 20 to 30 minutes, do not let anything enter your mind that you did not choose. No phone, no headlines, no videos, no scrolling. Instead, sit with silence. Let your mind wake up naturally. Breathe slowly. Notice your thoughts without judging them. This silence is not empty. It is powerful. In this space, you begin to hear yourself again. You notice what matters. You notice what feels heavy. You notice what needs attention. This is where clarity is born. Writing during this time is even more powerful. Write what you set thinking. Write what you sit too worried about. Write what you want to handle better today. You don't need perfect words. You need honesty. When you plan your day before the world speaks to you, your confidence increases automatically, because now you are not reacting to life. You are directing it. This habit trains patience. It trains emotional control. It trains focus. Over time, something subtle happens. You stop feeling rushed. You stop feeling scattered. You stop feeling like the day is controlling you. Instead, you feel grounded. People who win in life do not have more time. They have more control over their attention. And that control begins in the first moments of the day. If you only adopt one habit from this entire audiobook, make it this one. Because when you protect your morning, you protect your mind. And when you protect your mind, everything else becomes easier to build. Habit 2. Move your body every day. Your body is not something you carry through life. It is the engine that powers your mind. Most people think discipline begins in the head. In reality, discipline begins in the body. When your body is stagnant, your thoughts become heavy. Your emotions slow down. Your motivation disappears. And then you start believing something is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. Your body just hasn't moved. Movement is one of the fastest ways to change how you feel, without changing your circumstances. You don't need extreme workouts. You don't need perfect routines. You don't need motivation. You need daily motion. Walking counts. Stretching counts. Light strength work counts. What matters is not intensity, it's consistency. When you move your body, you send a message to your nervous system. I am alive. I am capable. I take action. That message changes everything. Movement clears mental fog. It releases emotional pressure. It burns off anxiety that has nowhere else to go. Many people try to think their way out of low energy. That never works. Energy is created through action, not thought. When you move daily, your posture changes. Your breathing deepens. Your confidence becomes quieter but stronger. You start trusting yourself again. This habit is not about appearance. It is about self-leadership. Every day you move. Even when you don't feel like it, you reinforce an identity. I show up for myself. And that identity compounds into other areas of life. You work better. You sleep deeper. You make cleaner decisions. Over time, daily movement becomes emotional hygiene. Just like brushing your teeth keeps them clean, movement keeps your mind clear. If you skip it for too long, tension builds, frustration grows. Small problems feel heavy. That sits, not weakness. That sits biology. Your body was designed to move. When it doesn't set, it suffers quietly. So remove the pressure. Move gently if you set tired. Move slowly if you set stressed. Move lightly if you steers overwhelmed. But move. This habit teaches you something powerful. Progress does not require perfection. It requires presence. And when you move every day, you prove to yourself that you are not stuck. You are simply warming up. Habit 3. Do one hard thing before noon. Every life that moves forward is built on discomfort. Not dramatic discomfort. Not suffering, but deliberate, chosen difficulty. Most people avoid what feels uncomfortable. They delay it. They distract themselves. They wait until they feel ready. And that single pattern quietly controls their entire life. Because the mind does not need comfort to grow. It needs proof. Proof that you can act even when it's uncomfortable. This habit is simple in words, but powerful in effect. Every day before noon, do one thing you don't feel like doing. Not 10 things. Not everything at once. Just one. The task you keep postponing. The work that requires focus. The message you said are avoiding. The responsibility that creates tension in your chest. When you do it early, something important happens. You remove the psychological weight from the rest of the day. Instead of carrying resistance in the background of your mind, you experience relief. This is not about productivity. This is about training your nervous system. When you repeatedly face discomfort early, your brain learns, I can handle this. And once the brain believes that, fear loses its power. Most anxiety is not caused by danger. It is caused by avoidance. Unfinished tasks drain energy. Delayed decisions create stress. Avoided responsibilities create self-doubt. Doing one hard thing closes that loop. Over time, this habit changes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who avoids pressure. You become someone who meets it calmly. Confidence does not come from success. It comes from self-trust. And self-trust is built when you do what you said you would do, especially when it's uncomfortable. Before noon is important. In the morning, your willpower is higher. Your mind is clearer. Your energy is more stable. If you delay hard tasks until later, the day drains you first. By doing it early, you win the psychological battle before the day can wear you down. This habit also sharpens focus. When you commit to one hard thing, distractions lose their grip. You enter a deeper mental state. You experience flow. Even one focused session per day compounds into extraordinary results. This habit teaches you restraint. You stop reacting emotionally. You stop bargaining with yourself. You stop negotiating discipline. You act, then think later, and slowly something shifts. Life feels less overwhelming. Your mind feels stronger. You stop feeling behind. Not because life is easier, but because you are more capable. This habit builds quiet power, not the loud kind that seeks attention, the calm kind that knows it can handle pressure. Do this daily, one hard thing, before noon. And over time, you will realize something important. You are not lazy. You were simply avoiding discomfort, and now you no longer have to. Habit 4. Eat and drink like your future matters. Your body is not just something you live in. It is the system that decides how clearly you think, how steady your emotions feel, and how much energy you bring into every decision. Most people talk about mindset. Very few talk about fuel. And yet, the quality of your fuel shapes the quality of your focus. When your body is undernourished, dehydrated, or overloaded with sugar and processed food, your mind pays the price. You feel tired for no clear reason. Your emotions swing faster. Your patience disappears. Your discipline weakens. Then you blame yourself. But often, the problem isn't set your character. It steps your inputs. Eating and drinking like your future matters is not about dieting. It steps about respect. Respect for your energy. Respect for your clarity. Respect for the life you stood trying to build. Every meal is a signal to your body. Some signals say, prepare to perform. Others say, just survive the moment. High performers don't eat perfectly. They eat intentionally. They drink water before they feel thirsty. They avoid extreme sugar spikes. They choose food that keeps their energy stable, not chaotic. Stable energy creates stable thinking. When your blood sugar crashes, your emotions crash with it. Suddenly small problems feel heavy. Distractions feel irresistible. Motivation feels far away. This is not weakness. This is physiology. Your brain uses more energy than any other organ. If you starve it or overload it, it cannot perform consistently. Hydration alone changes everything. When you are even slightly dehydrated, focus drops, memory weakens, fatigue increases. Drinking water is one of the simplest performance habits available, yet most people ignore it. Food is the same. Real food creates clarity. Processed food creates noise. This doesn't mean you never enjoy food. It means enjoyment is not your default decision maker. You are not eating to escape stress. You are eating to support your future self. Over time, this habit creates a subtle but powerful shift. You stop feeling heavy after meals. Your afternoons become productive again. Your sleep improves. Your cravings weaken. And most importantly, your self-respect grows. Because every intentional choice reinforces identity. I take care of my body. I don't sabotage my energy. I build myself daily. That identity spills into work, relationships, and discipline. Eating well is not about control. It's about alignment. When your body and goals are aligned, progress feels lighter. You don't need extremes. You need consistency. Choose water more often than soda. Choose real food more often than packaged food. Stop eating out of boredom. Small decisions, repeated daily, change how life feels, and when life feels better, everything becomes easier to build. Eat and drink like your future matters, because it does. Habit 5. Learn something small every day. Most people stop growing long before they stop breathing. Not because they lack intelligence, not because they lack opportunity, but because they stop feeding their mind. Learning does not fail people. People abandon learning when it stops feeling exciting. And yet, the most powerful growth is never dramatic. It is quiet and cumulative. Learning something small every day may feel insignificant in the moment, but over time, it changes how you think, how you speak, and how you see the world. This habit is not about becoming an expert overnight. It is about staying mentally alive. When people stop learning, their thinking hardens. They repeat the same ideas. They react emotionally instead of logically. They become easier to influence. Daily learning keeps your mind flexible. It teaches you to pause, reflect, and question. It gives you perspective when emotions rise. It sharpens your judgment. And most importantly, it protects you from stagnation. You don't need hours. You don't need complex material. 10 minutes is enough. If done consistently, read a few pages. Listen to a short audio. Study one idea carefully. Instead of many ideas poorly, depth beats volume. This habit builds something most people lack: intellectual self-trust. When you learn daily, you stop outsourcing your thinking. You form opinions based on understanding, not trends. That changes how you carry yourself. You speak more calmly. You react less emotionally. You listen better. Learning also changes how you experience time. Days feel meaningful instead of repetitive. Your mind feels active instead of dull. Your curiosity returns. Many people feel lost because they are mentally understimulated in the right way. They consume endless content but learn nothing. There is a difference between consumption and learning. Consumption entertains. Learning transforms. When you choose learning, even briefly, you tell yourself, "My mind matters. My growth matters." That message compounds into confidence. Over months, patterns emerge. You connect ideas. You recognize nonsense faster. You make better long-term decisions. And one day, without realizing it, you outgrow environments that once felt normal, not because you became superior, but because you became aware. Learning daily also keeps you humble. It reminds you how much there is to understand. It softens arrogance. It strengthens patience. This habit is not about pressure. It's about respect. Respect for your mind. Respect for your future. Respect for the life you are building quietly. You don't need to rush. One idea a day is enough, because over time, small learning turns into deep wisdom, and wisdom changes everything. Habit 6. Protect your focus ruthlessly. Your focus is not a personality trait. It is a resource. And like any valuable resource, it is constantly being targeted. Most people believe they have an attention problem. What they actually have is an environment problem. Every notification, every open tab, every background sound, each one takes a small piece of your clarity. And clarity does not disappear all at once. It erodes quietly. When focus weakens, everything feels harder. Work feels heavy. Decisions feel exhausting. Progress slows. Then, people assume they are lazy. They are not lazy. They are overstimulated. Focus is the ability to stay with one thought long enough to produce something meaningful. Without it, talent doesn't matter. Intelligence doesn't matter. Effort doesn't matter. Nothing compounds without focus. Protecting your focus is not about doing more. It is about doing less, better. It means choosing depth over constant activity. Modern life rewards noise, but growth rewards silence. Every time you interrupt yourself, your brain pays a cost. It takes time to return to depth. Repeated interruptions train the mind to stay shallow. Over time, this creates restlessness. You sit down to work, and your mind resists. Not because the work is hard, or because your brain has been trained to expect stimulation. Protecting your focus reverses this. Start by creating blocks of uninterrupted time. Even 1 hour per day is enough. During that hour, no phone, no messages, no multitasking. One task, one direction. This trains your mind to settle. At first, it will feel uncomfortable. Restlessness will appear. The urge to check something will arise. That is not a problem. That is withdrawal. Your brain is relearning depth. Stay with it. Over time, focus becomes easier. Your thinking becomes sharper. Your confidence increases quietly. Because now when you sit down to work, you know you can stay. This habit also protects your emotional health. Constant distraction fragments thought. Fragmented thought creates anxiety. When you focus deeply, your nervous system calms. Your breathing slows. Your mind organizes itself. Focus is not just a productivity tool. It is emotional regulation. Protecting your focus also means choosing what you allow into your life. Not every message deserves immediate attention. Not every opportunity deserves a yes. Not every opinion deserves space in your mind. Boundaries create freedom. When you guard your attention, you regain control over your time. And when you control your time, You control your direction. Most people live in reaction mode. Focused people live with intention. That difference compounds into different lives. Protect your focus ruthlessly, because whatever holds your attention eventually shapes who you become. Habit 7. End the day with reflection, not escape. By the time the day ends, most people are exhausted, not just physically, mentally, emotionally. Their attention has been pulled in too many directions. Their energy has been spent reacting. Their thoughts feel heavy, and in that state, they don't want to think, so they escape. They reach for their phone. They scroll without intention. They watch content they don't even enjoy. They fill the room with noise until their eyes finally close. Not because they are lazy, not because they lack discipline, but because silence feels uncomfortable. Silence invites reflection. Reflection invites truth, and truth requires energy. Most people don't think they have left, so they numb themselves instead. This escape feels harmless. It feels like rest, but it isn't set rest. True rest restores clarity. Escape only delays awareness. When you avoid reflection at night, your mind never gets closure. Conversations replay in the background. Unfinished thoughts stay open. Emotions remain unresolved. And when the mind doesn't close its loops, it carries them forward. That is why many people wake up tired, even after sleeping. Their body rested. Their mind did not. Ending the day with distraction teaches the brain something dangerous. It learns that discomfort should be avoided, not understood. It learns that emotions should be numbed, not processed. It learns that awareness is optional. Over time, this creates emotional buildup. Stress accumulates quietly. Anxiety grows without a clear source. Small problems start to feel heavy. People don't connect this to how they end their day, but the night is when the mind organizes itself. If you don't give it space to process, it carries the mess into tomorrow. Another reason people avoid reflection is guilt. They feel they didn't do enough. They feel they wasted time. They feel disappointed in themselves. So instead of facing those feelings, they distract themselves from them, but guilt that is ignored does not disappear. It hardens. Reflection, when done gently, dissolves guilt. Escape strengthens it. This habit also trains identity. Every night you escape, you reinforce the belief, I can sit with my own thoughts. That belief weakens self-trust, and without self-trust, confidence collapses. Ending the day the wrong way is not about screens or entertainment. It is about avoiding honesty. When you choose reflection instead of escape, you tell yourself, I am safe enough to look at my life. That message calms the nervous system. It creates emotional maturity, and it prepares the mind for real rest. The night is not meant to be filled with noise. It is meant to bring closure, and without closure, growth becomes exhausting. Reflection is not about finding faults. It is about finding truth. Most people confuse reflection with self-criticism. They think looking back on the day means replaying mistakes, judging themselves, or feeling regret, so they avoid it. But real reflection is calm. It is observational. It has no drama. Reflection is the moment you step outside your emotions and simply notice. When you reflect at the end of the day, you slow the mind down. You give your thoughts a place to land. Instead of spinning in circles, they settle. This alone creates relief. Because a mind that is understood does not need to scream for attention. Reflection builds direction by revealing patterns, not in one day, but over time. You begin to notice what drains you, what energizes you, What situations create tension? What choices bring peace? Without reflection, life feels random. With reflection, life begins to make sense. You stop asking, "Why am I always tired?" and start seeing where your energy leaks. You stop blaming circumstances and start understanding behavior. This understanding is power. It gives you options. Reflection also strengthens emotional control. When emotions are ignored, they grow louder. When emotions are acknowledged, they soften. At night, when the day is over, emotions finally slow enough to be heard. Reflection gives them permission to leave. You don't have to solve everything. You just have to recognize it. That recognition tells the nervous system, "I am paying attention." And once the nervous system feels seen, it relaxes. This is why reflection reduces anxiety, not by force, but by clarity. Writing enhances this process. When thoughts stay in the mind, they feel heavy. When they are written down, they feel contained. The page becomes a boundary. You don't carry everything to bed anymore. Over time, reflection builds emotional maturity. You react less. You understand more. You choose responses instead of impulses. This changes relationships. This changes work. This changes how you speak to yourself. Instead of being controlled by moods, you learn from them. And learning creates stability. Reflection also reconnects you with intention. At the end of the day, you ask, "Did I act like the person I want to become?" Not with judgment, with curiosity. This keeps you aligned. You don't drift as easily. You don't lose yourself in noise. Your days begin to feel connected. And that connection builds quiet confidence. Because when your actions align with your values, life feels lighter. Reflection is not about perfection. It is about awareness. And awareness, practiced daily, changes everything. The way you end your day becomes the message you send to yourself before sleep. That message matters more than you realize. Most people rush through the night without closing anything. They carry unfinished thoughts into bed. They replay conversations. They question their choices. And because nothing is settled, the mind stays alert. But closure is not something that happens automatically. It is something you choose. Ending the day with integrity means you face the day honestly, without exaggeration and without denial. You acknowledge effort, even if the results were imperfect. You recognize what was difficult without dramatizing it. You accept where you fell short without attacking yourself. This honesty creates peace, because peace is not the absence of problems. It is the absence of internal conflict. When you reflect and acknowledge the day fully, your nervous system understands that nothing is being avoided. There is nothing left to protect against, and so it relaxes. Closure also means releasing what does not belong to tomorrow. Today's frustrations do not need to be carried forward. Today's mistakes do not need to define the morning. Today's tension does not deserve space in tomorrow's focus. Reflection allows you to set these things down, not with force, with awareness. This is how real rest begins. Integrity is built in small, quiet moments like this. When you end the day consciously, you prove something to yourself. I am present in my own life. That presence builds trust. You begin to trust your decisions. You begin to trust your ability to course correct. You begin to trust that you can face yourself honestly. And trust creates confidence. Not loud confidence, calm confidence. The kind that doesn't need validation. Ending the day this way also strengthens continuity. Your days stop feeling fragmented. They start feeling connected. Each day becomes a chapter. not a loose page. You wake up with less resistance. You move into the next day with intention instead of urgency, because the mind knows where it is going. Closure also softens ambition. You stop chasing outcomes. You start respecting process. And this makes progress sustainable. Before sleep, recognize one thing you handled well, not to inflate your ego, but to acknowledge growth. Growth needs recognition to continue. Then recognize one thing you will handle better tomorrow, not as pressure, but as direction. This is integrity. It is the quiet agreement between who you are and who you are becoming. End the day with closure. End it with honesty. End it with respect for yourself. Because when you close the day properly, tomorrow opens with clarity. Take a moment before you move on, before the noise returns, before the world pulls at your attention again. Pause. What you've just listened to was not a list of habits. It was a blueprint for becoming someone different, quietly, steadily, without forcing anything. Nothing here was dramatic. Nothing here required perfection. And that is exactly why it works. Most people keep waiting for a turning point. They wait for motivation. They wait for clarity. They wait for the right time. But the truth is simple. Your life does not change in moments. It changes in patterns. And patterns are built by what you repeat when nobody is watching. These habits are not meant to impress anyone. They are meant to stabilize you, to give your days structure, to give your mind order, to give your energy direction. If you do nothing else after this audiobook, remember this. You don't instead need to fix your whole life. You only need to win today. One morning protected, one body moved, one hard thing faced, one intentional meal, one small lesson learned, 1 hour of focus guarded, one night closed with honesty. That is not small. That is how lives are rebuilt. You may not feel different tomorrow, and that's okay. Real change is quiet at first. It shows up as calm, as clarity, as less resistance. And then one day you look back and realize you don't recognize the old version of yourself anymore. Not because you became someone else, but because you finally became consistent. Consistency is rare, and rare things compound. So don't rush this. Don't turn it into pressure. Don't demand instant results. Just return to these habits. On good days, on tired days, on days when nothing seems to move. Because progress is not built by intensity. It is built by integrity. And integrity is what you practice when no one is watching. Let this be the point where you stop drifting, where your days stop blending together, where your effort finally has direction. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are simply at the moment where structure replaces chaos. So close this chapter calmly, and tomorrow, build yourself again, one day at a time.